This is an old 1974 Philips record player, vintage. It's 1 year older than me. And it's due for restoration. Now, we've owned it since new. It's been in our family since 1974. It was bought brand new back then. It's a hi-fi. It's quite expensive in its time. And I remember it very well. In the 70s. It's a speaker system. And this is the amplifier system for it. 90-watt amplifier. I'll open that up on a different day. I'm going to open up the record player on this video. So the record player's got a preamplifier in it as well. And that goes, the signal from the record player goes through this wire into the amplifier. That's the mains power for the record player. And stereo is it's a bit of a mix and match. It's a Philips record player, Philips speakers, and a Goodman's amplifier. The speakers are only 30 watts power rating, the amplifier's 90 watts. So it's like 30 watts per channel. With the amplifier's capable of doing 45 watts per channel, which is a total of 90 watts. So this amplifier could actually blow the speakers. It's a 3-set speakers, the treble, mid-range and bass woofer speaker. So as I say, the whole unit, the whole stereo was bought in 1974. And it consists of the record player, the amplifier that's got a built-in tuner system for the radio. And you could get an auxiliary tape player. I haven't got the tape player for this one, but it will take one, it will accept it. There's an auxiliary as well for whatever else you want to add to it that it will amplify. The whole stereo is going to be getting sent off for a restoration job. I just don't have the time to do it here, so we'll send it off and get it done. The stereo is nearly 50 year old. So like capacitors and that, I've got a sort of, they'll probably need replacing. The actual record player, the belt system will need replaced. The stylus will need cleaned and checked and replaced. The whole thing will just need opened up and checked and restored. Anything that's needing replaced will get replaced. What could be fixed will be repaired. So this is really old school stuff, built to last. I remember it well when I was a kid. Grew up with it. It's been with us since brand new, as I said, since 1974. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to get some footage of the inside of this. And I'll do a separate video with the amplifier on another video at some point. The speakers, to open them, it's a big job. It's not really serviceable. It's pretty much sealed for life, but if you were, the front comes off. There's a very specialist job. It's sealed at the back as well, so. And the amplifier, this top bit comes off, I believe, because I've watched my dad open it up before, over the years, like when it was needing work done on it. That'd be an electrician, knows all about this stuff. It's all analog. It's got a nice quality feel about it, this tuner system as well, because there's a counterweight in there that makes it really smooth and precise. So that's the control for lifting up the arm. It's this bit here that lifts up. And it's got the counterbalance at the back. I think you could adjust that. You could also adjust the speed of the turntable as well for precise, the speed for the table. That's the speed controls. They do light up, but it isn't a photocell in there. It actually measures the resistance, the capacitance or capacitance between touching the centre bit and the outer ring. That's how they work. So it's basically a touch button. The whole thing's on a suspension system as well. Being a hi-fi, it's the turntable's all balanced. So I'm going to get some dinner and then I'll come back with the toolbox and I'll open this up and show you what's inside. This is to set the pressure of the arm when it's on the record. So you could set the resistance. So as I say, this is a precise, everything's set up for precision, being the hi-fi. And you can adjust all that. So it adjusts the pressure of as the record's turning, the arm's got resistance on it, so you could vary that with this setting there. You can see the piston that goes up and down when you hit the... Let's see if we get it better than that. It's basically this bit here that goes up, lifts up at the back, and you can adjust the length as well. I think this is adjustable. That's maybe for the counterbalance, adjust the counterbalance. So you've got the weight will vary at this end due to the counterbalance. So not only you could adjust the weight of the cartridge, the stylus or arm, you could also adjust the resistance, the lateral resistance as it's moving around on the platter with this adjuster. And of course you could adjust the speed precisely, 33 and 45. So it was an expensive stereo in its day. I should say hi-fi. So the record player, the amplifier and the speakers are all part of it. Right, so I'll get my dinner and then I'll come back and get this warmed up. So the lid slides off, it just slides sideways off of these brackets. These light up green, by the way. So to get the turntable off, it basically just lifts off, but I can't film that at the same time, so I need to put one hand there, lift it straight off the spindle. So that's the build for the turntable. Is quite heavy. And being heavy, it irons out any, variation in speed. It kind of smoothens it out as it's the momentum will dampen out any imperfections with the record and whatnot. You can see the belt drives. It's a motor here, belt driven, but the belt here is worn. It's going to need replacing. Which goes on this big spindle here, which turns the platter. It's all on the suspension system as well. The springs are underneath. I think this is all polished aluminium, top, and possibly stainless steel for the platter bit. Move them off the table, give myself more room to get the bottom off of this record player. So I've put the lid on temporarily again because I've got to turn the whole unit upside down to get the base off. Now, like with anything electrical, you make sure it's all disconnected. So it's a flat screwdriver, and there's 3 screws to come off. Right, so that's the bottom off. Now I've had to balance the bottom, or the base, against the toolbox because there's a connection here on the bottom. And these are just quite thin wires, and being old, they'll be quite brittle as well. So, there's quite a lot inside here. Just like a buffer stop for the arm, the actual stylus. When it moves, there's a sensor that switches it off when it gets to the end of the record. It's like a photo cell or a light sensor, and it'll pass by it. There's the bulb for it, and that's the light sensor. It'll pass through there, and then it detects the arm going through there. It'll cut the power off to the motor, so it switches off the turntable. And because I think that the needle the arm will still have momentum in it. As soon as the power goes off, it'll still be kinetic energy because of the heavy platter. And this is like a sort of, obviously this will be down here when the lid goes on. Again, it's like a bump stop or something. I'm going to have to ask my dad what that is, why these wires are there. Give us a minute. So it's something, it's not 100% sure, but it could be something to do with evening out, like a static charge or something. I'm not 100% sure why that's there. My dad had to think about that for a bit. We're going to figure out what it is anyway. This is the grommet, by the way, for the mains voltage going to the transformer. That's from the plug. And that just basically a grommet to prevent the wire pulling out from inside them. So if you pull this cable, it wouldn't pull it off directly off here. It'll protect it with this clamp. And that's the signal one, the signal wire that goes out to the amplifier. But it gets a boost amplifier before it goes to the main amplifier. It gets amplified, pre-amplified within here. And then the signal will be strong enough to get sent through this plug here, which will go to the main amplifier to be amplified. So it's quite well technically advanced, because it's, bear in mind, this is 49-year-old. So, but the electronics were out at that time anyway. This is a big heavy bit of, quite sure what that is. The suspension system, by the way, that's the springs for the suspension system. That's the bracket that holds the spring, which continues on down there to the turntable area, and also the arm for the cartridge. That's the light cells, or not the light cells, that's the push button, not push buttons, but touch buttons down there. There's bulbs there that light up. And the buttons, it measures the capacitance between the centre. You know, when you with your finger on it, it measures the capacitance between the inner bit and the outer bit. But the light is only just there to show you whether it's on or off. It's not a photo cell light, whereas this one is, that detects the actual arm, or the mechanism in here. When it goes through there, it'll cut the power off. When it gets to the end of the record, this will be the motor. For the turntable, that's obviously the power plug, transformer. By the way, we never touch any of that if it's powered up. You shouldn't really touch any of this anyway, because of the body's got static that could damage things. You shouldn't really do that. That's the main on and off button. There's 3 springs, by the way. That's the
three upside down again.
So we're just discussing what this is. So I figured out what this bit is. So this is the mains voltage selector switch. We've managed to figure out just what that is. That'll be for different countries. Yeah, for different countries.
Oh, dude. Just
yeah.
Around the black checkered.
For the strobe. For
50 hertz.
Yeah, so they set the different countries 110 volts, different hertz, and they set the. So we use the strobe on here. It's a setting for because it's these markings, by the way, is for the strobe effect. So you can actually precisely. You need to have a strobe light. That's the turntable, and that's the set synchronise the speed exact. So as with that, remembering that you could use incandescent bulbs because they're at 50 hertz anyway. That's quite high-tech stuff. He knows what he's talking about in a bit. I have to think about that one myself, but it's basically just a strobe effect to get the slight setting the timing on an engine. I suppose it's to get it precise, because as I say, this is a hi-fi system, so there's all this incorporated in the design. With the LED lights, bulbs and that, it's a different frequency from the old incandescent lights. So that's basically a voltage setter. This is basically what it is. This big bit of metal here must be a buffer or something. Some sort of ballast stabilizer or something, we've decided. Yeah. Oh, right, so this whole thing. Yeah. Oh, see, so this is, right. So this whole thing here, this is on a suspension system. That's why the arm moves as well, because this wishbone-like sort of metal plate here is on a suspension system. That's where it's fixed to the. Oh, it's complicated because you have to. I'm certainly not going to take all that apart, but this is kind of like a balancer or something. It's a chunky bit of metal. Counterbalance. Yeah, counterbalance is the way, because this is sitting upside down. This is flat, so you can see it moving. I shouldn't really do that, but we could. Yeah. So there's a lot of technology going on here. Bear in mind, this is, as I say, the 70s is not really, that's quite a modern time anyway, so I suppose all this stuff is out. It's not like the 1920s or 30s with had valves and all that kind of stuff. This is, microchips were out of that at this time. But the age of it, the wires are really fragile. And that will need to be probably checked and be brittle. Saying that, that's not too bad, but when it gets put in for restoration, they'll check through all the connections and that. So yeah, the circuit board is under there, but I don't really want to actually take the circuit board out. It's just the 2 flat screws, one there and one there. I'm not taking it out, I'm just going to flip it over to have a look at the other side. It's a smaller screwdriver that I'm using. Flat screwdriver. Screws out. This long one here goes to the down there at the back, and this is the shorter one, which goes there. So I'm going to have to get these put into a safe place so I don't get them lost. I'll go and flip the circuit board over. Another 3 tabs to turn. There's that there needs to be turned with very small nose pliers. There's 3 of them, that one, that one and that one. That kind of clips the circuit board into place. and there's the 2 locking screws. Circuit board flipped over, and it's all the mechanism for the lifting up the needle. It's all delicate, precise stuff. Transistors, capacitors, not quite sure what they are, maybe bridge rectifier or something. What are they? No, they're not bridge. What are they? No. These, I don't know, what is it? Right, so these are tuning, they're variable resistors. That's old school. Yeah. How precise this is. Jeez. Yeah, these are variable resistors for tuning whatever the part of the circuit. There is nothing actually on the other side, but they're you can see what varies. Rheostat sort of thing.
Potentiometers.
Potentiometer, yep. And that was the thing we were questioning there. They were quite sure, 100% sure why that wire's fixed to the base, but it is even up the charges between the amplifier and the case.
No, the input.
Or the input.
Preamplifier.
Yeah, to even up the charges between the case and the preamplifier, something like that. We're not 100% sure, but
the amplifier, that's the
right, tuner amplifier.
Right. Well, that's the main stereo unit, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Is that to protect the? So these are just connector blocks for the mains coming in.
Or any country with.
Alright, so it's
50, 60 hertz.
one. Yeah, so we got one ring for 50 hertz. I don't know which one, and one ring for 60 hertz. I'm going to guess that's the 60 hertz ones because there's more markings on it. That would be for 110 volts supply if it was going to countries that use that, like America, for example. So you would set the turntable precisely with the 60 hertz at 110 volts. But in the UK, it's 240 volts at 50 hertz. So you would set the turntable precisely with the outer ring. That's what I'm guessing, because there's more inner ring for 60 hertz and outer ring for 50 hertz. Because it is an international market, so it would be sold around the world. And that voltage regulator thing, it was a adjuster thing, I'll point out. So this mains voltage selector thing was there for, because on the other side, when you turn this up, the right side up, you're able to select the voltage for the country that it's in. But we didn't want to turn that because it's been in that setting since it was new. We don't want to risk sort of upsetting it or damaging it because it's sat in that position for so long. But I'd have to show you that when we put this right side up. It's underneath the turntable. I'm just going to ask what this cardboard thing's for, I'm guessing. Oh, so this is just to protect this particular area because the circuit board, the main board, is at this point. And the transformer bits there, that's just less delicate bits, I'm guessing. It's a high voltage side. The motor, which is quite solid. You got your main switch. So this is like the high power side, high voltage side, and this is the more of the delicate side, where the mechanism for the arm, and all the fine wiring, the sensors and everything in the main circuit board, and the push button. So this is just an extra bit of, I don't know, dust protection, heat shield or something. Although it's not silver, but it's maybe just to dampen any, I don't know, vibrations or whatever. It's just, all it is just cardboard. It'll be good quality stuff anyway. But this is the more sensitive side because all the the electronic bits are at this side. Although there isn't actually any microchips where I thought there may have been. Microchips were out at that time. There could be microchips in the amplifier, the main amplifier, but the record player has only got these black transistors. These things there. And of course a bunch of resistors and variable potentiometers and capacitors. You can see how finely it's made. I mean, that's just very fine. It's very fragile. So intricately built, because it is, I say, it's high fidelity sound. High fidelity, hi-fi. It was expensive in its day. So anyway, what I'm going to do now, I think I've showed you all there is to see at the moment. I'll put it back together, and quite shortly the whole stereo will get sent off for an overhaul, and we'll get it back. The only thing is, when I play it, to sample it, and if I hadn't recorded it for YouTube, I'd have to only play a few seconds of the music, otherwise I get a copyright strike, unless I make a record to play. But, so anyway, that's that. So I'll get it all back together again. Record players work, by the way, the needle goes over the vinyl. There's like grooves there that resemble the sound, the signal. It sends a signal to the stylus, which will cause an electromagnetic wave. So yeah, so the needle will move as the turntable turns. The needle will move over the grooves on the record, and as the needle moves, it sends it's like a magnet that moves within a coil, which produces a small voltage, and that will be done in a signal in correspondence with the frequency of the movement of the needle or the stylus, and that will be due to the vibrations from the record. So that will set up a wee signal, which will be sent through the arm, in through all these wires, into this circuit here. It gets pre-amplified and then sent through to the main amplifier, which will be amplified and then sent up to the speakers where you could hear it. It's just a rough idea. It's just mechanically, basically, that is the needle. As the cartridge or the stylus moves over the grooves on the record, I think there's like a little, maybe a magnet. If you move a magnet within a coil or near a coil of wire or a conductor, it produces a small voltage. And that, as the needle moves, is going to move in a pattern that resembles the grooves on the record, which is your music. So that will be transferred into an electrical signal, because the magnet or whatever's moving within the coil at the rate or the frequency which is on the record, and that will be your musical signal, which will be converted into electrical signal, which will go through these wires, and it'll end up in this circuit board somehow to get preamped, and that will get down through this plug here into the main amplifier and into the speakers. As I said, just in a nutshell, the signal off the record gets converted into an electrical signal via the electromagnetic, or a magnet and an electromagnet moving within a coil of wire, and that will then produce a small voltage, which will correspond with the signal. It will get pre-amplified through the cable into the main amplifier, where it gets amplified enough to power the speakers, which will vibrate the paper cones in the speakers and produce sound waves that you could hear. It contains its music by means of the grooves on the record. That's your electric, that's your music. Actually a signal, sorry, it's more like information in the form of grooves on the record. It doesn't produce a signal, it's just grooves, it's a mechanical. The needle goes over it, so that's information in the form of grooves on the Bakelite, I think, the record, and that's contains the music. The record, by the way, is one of my favourites. It's Abbey. And this record will have to be cleaned as well, and be well looked after. It isn't scratched, it's been looked after. It's really old, so it'll be getting restored and played again. Actually, it's not Bakelite, it's vinyl, sorry. It's made of vinyl, the records are made of vinyl. It was really old records that were made of Bakelite, but the more modern ones are vinyl. Sorry, it's a vinyl, not Bakelite, vinyl. And the grooves, well, it's going to be hard to see them, but you could, it's just microscopic really. But it's enough for the needle to pick up the vibrations to convert it into musical sound. I mean, actually, if the amplifiers are off, you could hear the mechanical effect of the needle moving over that. You could still hear the music because it's mechanical, and that's the stylus moving over the grooves, which is set of a signal in the form of a sound wave, but that's just mechanically done. And you could hear it very faintly without any amplifiers, just purely by the mechanics of the needle moving over the record. So that's obviously how you need an amplifier to get the sound wave or the sound pattern off of here through an amplifier. And then up to 90 watts. And it's got to drive it through the speakers. And the paper cone vibrates at the rate of the pattern on the record. But being a hi-fi, it's got to convert that vibrations from the record, and it's got to play it back as it is, as it was recorded. So it's high quality. Whereas a lot of stereos that are cheaper than that, the quality isn't as good, but a hi-fi, the quality is going to be top end. And it should sound like what it was when it was actually being recorded. Dad was saying it could be possibly acetate rather than Bakelite, the old records as well. But that's like really old records. So I'm going to, as I say, get this back together again. I'll show you a video once it's back together, and then I'll call it a video, call it a day. I'll get around to doing the amplifier another day. So my other video later on in the, which I've not got time today, but we'll get around to doing a video on this one. So if you just keep checking my channel and see what I put up. Right, so I'm going to get that reassembled, and I'll show you it reassembled again, and then I'll round it off. Going back to the rings on here, these are for different speeds. I thought it was maybe something, I really thought it was something to do maybe with the frequency, we're just guessing. But just done a wee research. It's one for the 33 to adjust to 33 RPMs, and one for the 45 RPM. The outer one's a 45 RPM, the inner one's a 33 RPM. As I say, being a hi-fi, it's got to be precise, so they've added it onto here. Before I assemble it, we're just looking at this again, trying to figure out just what these are, but in closer inspection and more time looking at it, there's 4 of them, so that's to lock this or secure the base. So I'm not quite sure exactly the feet, yeah. Well, that's to stop the lid. But we're not quite sure just why this wire is here. We're only guessing. If any of you know, put in the comments if you happen to know what that is. Because I'm not 100% sure. It's a bit of a mystery, that. But, yeah, we're going to figure out. But if anybody knows, put it in the comments. So looking at the other side, there isn't really anything. So on the other side to that, there isn't really any anything there to suggest otherwise, or anything really. Like these bump stops are what we thought were bump stops. They're actually to secure these feet there, which need to be adjusted to keep the record player sitting at the correct level. So there is actually nothing on the other side, as you saw. And this is just, wires seem to run into, they're very fine wires, and they run into this kind of setup here, which is the signal wire, eventually, to the amplifier. The black one, this is just heat shrunk one for the grey one goes down into this bit here, which I'd have to turn it right side up to remember what's there now. I'm just trying to figure out what's in there on right side up. I think the turntable overlaps that. The turntable overlaps all of this, in fact. I'll show you. So it covers a fair bit, and I think a lot of that stuff is under the turntable anyway, on this right side. So there's nothing really under there, it's just flush on the other side. And that wire, the grey one, seems to go into here. It's something to do with the cartridge, the needle, because these fine wires are for picking up the minute signals. And it goes to here, and then it runs along this. This will protect the wires from any other, well, it's insulated anyway. So from there it goes into the circuits. So it's related to the needle, I think, whatever this. Unless maybe when this lid's on, this gets close contact with some of this metal stuff, and it's maybe there to, I don't know. But then why have it there? Why would have this metal bit there in the first place? It's baffling this. I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to put this board back together, and I'm going to manually lift the arm, move the arm to see just what this mechanism is doing. I was going to reassemble it, but I'll do that once I've done this. Upon moving this, this wooden breast trim just sits in there as well. That comes off. It's not really, that's held together with the base plate, which gives us a bit more access to the rest of it. Now we're going to move the needle, or the stylus, to zoom that in, and to see what this does, what this mechanism's all about here. So as I say, that trim wood bit, this slides back in on there, that's just held in position with the screws that hold the base on. It was all sitting fragile. Needle, you can see this thing here, as the needle's moving in, it cuts across the photo sensor, and that will stop the turntable. So I'm just doing that by moving the stylus, or the arm, or needle, whatever you could call it, the arm. And it's cutting through there, the photo, the light sensor. So we still don't know what this mystical thing's all about in the base. But it'll be very fragile, very careful with it. I found the stop as well for the arm. I'm going to show you that. So it's quite difficult filming this at the same time as. Let's see if I can. Right. So you'll be able to see it now, I hope. So you can see the stop, which is there. I do too much at once, right. So that's the mechanical bits. Other than that, you've got the motor and the buttons. The reason I have photo sensor buttons is to stop the vibrations for, you know, it keeps everything smooth when it comes to the record platter. So they put soft buttons so it doesn't bounce about all over the place. Keep everything nice and fine. Yeah, well I say, it's none the wiser of this, but we're just not quite sure. It might be because that metal bit comes in close proximity to the other bit, but why have that metal bit there in the first place? I just don't get it. Maybe some kind of ground or earthing or static thing or something. The wires are fine, so it won't be high voltage. But I'm baffled. I haven't really figured out really what that's about. There's a better view of the suspension as well. that, but so that's the I shouldn't really do that when it's like at this angle because it's sitting at an awkward. No, so it's gonna fall. Right, we'll definitely have to get this reassembled now because time's starting to run out. So, oh, before that, by the way, is the main spindle mount. The bearing will be in there. Reassembly, you've got to then turn these little tabs very gently to lock the board in position there. Then you put the little washers on the screws that hold the circuit board. The small short one goes in here and the longer one goes down in that one there. And then once the circuit board's secured, I'll then put the base back on again. Very fine those pliers and just give them a wee turn to position that in. After some research, while I was assembling it, my dad researched into it, and what we've done is just looked at the back of this, very briefly, and it's silver, right? It's actually silver coated, and we've figured that it's an anti-static screen for any interference or anything. Because the circuit board is here, all the fine delicacies is sensitive for stray signals or anything from outside or whatnot. It basically just protects it from any signals or outside interference. And these wires there will bring it
in between the amplifier and that.
Right, so it brings any stray signals in potential. It differentiates or equalises the potential or something. It basically just prevents any interference affecting this delicate bit, and these wires are there to balance the potential of any stray signals.
It's also to stop any signals from the circuit board radiating out either.
Oh, right, stop any signals from radiating out. Yeah. So, in assembly, I've also noticed that your potentiometers on the circuits have been pre-factory set, or factory set. They're down there. Now, we don't touch these because they're set in the factory. You're certainly not going to be upsetting those. But that's how they've done it. Because on the reverse side of that circuit board, you saw the potentiometers. By the way, I'm not touching the circuit board with a screwdriver, and it's about a mile away from it and just pointing to the viewers. Plastic adjusters, right, okay. So that's how they've done it when they assembled it up to tune everything up when it was being factory built. It's the main switch. Rubber mounts for the main transformer to prevent to prevent vibration from the transformer being amplified and picked up through the stylus. Wishbone suspension platter. That's what that is looking like. Flathead screws that hold everything together are all the same length. Base all screwed back up. There's 3 flathead screws, as I say, to hold it together. So there is a provision for another cable, and there was like 2 connector blocks inside there coming in from the mains bit, so maybe there's, I don't really know what that extra one's for, like, but you've got the signal wire which goes to the amplifier, or cable rather, signal cable, and you've got the mains power cable, which goes on this side, and there's this other one. But there was 2 connector blocks inside there on the mains bit. So I don't know, just but that extra one's for an auxiliary or something, I don't know. And the feet, they've got to be obviously level, so the whole unit sits level. So I'll get it up, right side up, and I'll put the turntable back on. So that's the unit right side up. That's the voltage setting I was talking about earlier. For being UK, obviously, Britain it's 240 volts. But if it was going to America, you would turn that. But we're not going to turn that because it's been in that setting since it was new, 1974. And the sound this thing gave off when it played was absolutely brilliant. It was a great quality stereo. Still is, just needs to be restored. It's going to get, you know, set away, checked over, cleaned out, and just check everything over, get it restored, and then back into use again, because it's not been used for a while, actually. But it's sat in situ in the living room, so it's never been stored away in a loft. It's just sat in view all the time, so it's been looked after. It's not been just dumped in some cupboard. It's been kept bump free. If something's stored away in a loft or something, it gets dusted and possibly bumped and all that kind of stuff. But this sat in view. It's been like a bit of an ornament for a while. It's been admired, so it's been looked after. It's been cleaned on the outside. Nothing's been bumped into it. It's not been sitting at the wrong angle. It's been sitting right side up for all its life as well. So, but let's say we'll send the whole stereo off for restoration. And I say the amplifier was really good. Everything was high end, high quality. That's for the headphones, by the way. And as I say, the sound is a powerful thing, very powerful, good quality sound out of it. As I say, I'll do a separate video for this. Just stay tuned on that. This is modern, that's nothing to do with what I'm doing, that's just a totally different thing altogether. So, I see the speakers, you might be able to see you might just be able to see the speakers through the speaker cone. You should get the out wing of it from with the dust part in. The light you might be able to. It's well put together, good craftsmanship. That's when things are built to last. You can see the speakers clearer now. That's your high frequency, mid frequency, and your big bass, low frequency speaker. But there's just flush. The back is flush. The back doesn't come off. The front has to come off, but it's a skillful job because it's all it's sealed up, like, you know. Mechanical advantage, a lot of torque, lots of turns from the motor. The motor spins round, this counterbalance on the end of it for momentum and flywheel effect, smooth everything out. And a very slow turn or a slower turn. This will turn at 33 RPM on 45 RPMs, revolutions per minute. But the motor here this motor end, which has got a brass, I think it's brass, it's a heavyweight, like a flywheel effect. That'll spin much faster. I don't know what the gear ratio is for it, but it'll be a mechanical advantage. So that'll spin really fast, that'll spin slowly, but the torque on there will be multiplied. So if that turns, for every, say, let's just say it's, for argument's sake, 10 to 1. So that'll turn 10 times for every 1 revolution of that, for argument's sake, right? That means that the torque, that'll be 10 times slower, but the torque will be 10 times more. So there'll be 10 times more force on here, but it'll be 10 times slower, but 10 times stronger, if you like. Whereas that'll spin 10 times faster, but the torque will be 10 times less. So it's got the mechanical advantage. It's basic gearing. I don't know what the gear ratio is for this, or the mechanical ratio. It's not actually gears, it's a Belgian, but I don't know what the mechanical ratio for it is. But that'll turn much faster anyway. And as you can hear, it's solid for hard wearing, smooth it out. No, this is a refined piece of equipment. This maybe it stops the record from bouncing about as well. The big heavy platter will iron out any imperfections in the movement. It just is a mechanical aspect of it, the belt. So all the imperfections will be ironed out with the momentum of the big heavy platter, which is here, and that is quite heavy. That is solid actually. Well, it feels it is polished stainless steel probably, so that'll keep the momentum going as well. See, all the motor has to do once the thing's accelerated up to speed, or just to maintain the speed. The hardest bit for the motor is getting it accelerated up to speed. Once the thing's up to speed, it's just overcoming friction and, you know, just drag from, well, aero drag, frictional drag and that kind of stuff. But the momentum, that's so it uses less power once it's up to speed. It's just overcoming the frictional, mainly friction. And of course the slight drag off the needle. That's what you can adjust all that anyway with all these settings. So the record doesn't wear out and you get the proper sound. It's all tuned up. I'm not a musician, but it's capable. It certainly caters for all this fine, delicate tuning. Guides, by the way. That's probably nylon or something. That's the guides for the underside of the platter or turntable. So I'm trying to make you appreciate just how it's solid, you know. There's a hefty bit of metal. Put it back together again. It's just, as I say, that just sits on there, and you can see how it all bounces. You know, it's all the momentum, the weight, because that's heavy. So any nudges or anything like that, this will move in relation. It'll move with, in conjunction with the turntable. So it's basically going to be, gets connected. So any movement on there will be moving on there, which means there won't be any movements. There won't be any misalignments or mismovements at the stylus end. If that vibrates that way, this is also going to vibrate with that, with the suspension system, keeping that in constant contact with the record, so there isn't any offset with the needle. If that was rigid and that moved, it would cause an effect here. Because that's on the same suspension as that, it moves in accordance with the turntable, keeping this in contact. The stylus, which is the needle bit, very fine bit at the bottom, in constant contact with the record to give you the best sound. So a lot of thought goes into the hi-fi system. Oh, it's a lot of thought. It's not on the metal, by the way, it's just to show you maybe put the light off, it's maybe dazzling it. So that's it. I think I'll just round the video off now. I think I've covered a fair bit. So there you go. Okay, so like I said, I'll get around to getting another video made with the amplifier at some point in due course. Just keep a check on my channel and just see what happens. But I'll try and get something sorted, try and get something organised. Just be the timing now. Right, so I hope you enjoyed that. Okay, right, cheers for watching. Bye for now. Bye. Before I go, I got the weight of this thing. I weighed it. Just to put in perspective as to how good the quality of these things are built. Solid, real wood, etc. It weighs 7 kilograms. 7 kilograms. So it was built to last. It's proper wood, real polished aluminium, stainless steel platter. I think it's stainless steel anyway. And it may be very thick, polished, cast aluminium, I'm not sure, but it's heavy anyway. But it's 49-year-old 7 kilograms of good quality stuff, because it's lasted the test of time. So I'll just put it into perspective anyway, of the weight of it. 7 kilograms, just over a stone. Okay, right, cheers, bye for now.